Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Haven't enjoyed your day so far, and gentlemen's agreements continue to divide and conquer the Call of Duty community. Yesterday we talked about the AK-47 being GA'd for the challenger side. A lot of the professionals looking at the amateurs being like, do you think this gun is actually that strong? The amateurs looking at the pros and saying, how do you guys not think this weapon is so strong? But today seems like they've got even further. The 1911 pistol and the Magnum pistol. Now gentlemen's agreement, it does seem out of the game. Pros now using the kind of Raffica 3-round burst pistol that we've had in Call of Duty past as well, and well, it does really make me think back to a game like Black Ops 3 where the RK5 was the fastest killing weapon in the entire game. If he had all 3 shots up close, that gun was not GA'd from that game. Nowadays I'm sure it would not be allowed given the way that GAs have gone these last couple of years. But certainly intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much for doing that indeed. Looty yesterday comes out with some explanation for exactly why the AK-47 was banned, effectively discussing what we talked about yesterday with the Task Force barrel being GA'd by the pros on the 74U. That means that the 74U can't compete so effectively against the AK-47, and therefore the AK-47 also had to go. But it does, of course, go one step further, and I thought this was pretty interesting because Scump came out with this clip a couple of days ago. Raid is my map. Of course, Raid returning to the Call of Duty Black Ops card war rotation, which we are very happy to see. But as you can see right here, this 1911 pistol absolutely destroying Clayster with the 3 shots, and I believe people have also been talking about the fact that, well, this 1911 pistol does allow you to actually 2-shot headshot very close range with certain attachments, stuff like this. And well, as you can see right here, the pistol is clearly very strong. If you guys have used it, you'll know this pistol is indeed very strong indeed. But in previous Call of Duty games, pistols have certainly also been strong. But well, it seems like the pros have decided the 1911 is just too strong for use as it stands right now. So as Crone at CDL Intel comes out with yesterday, I'll leave his entire article over at .esports, link down below if you guys want to check it out. But I wanted to run through exactly what the GA list version 2.0.0, as Crone says, looks like right now, because a lot has changed, and this list is probably more extensive than we have had in Call of Duty for, well, a number of years, if not all time. So this is where it starts off. Weapons, of course, the AUG, the M16, the DMR, the Type 63, all GA'd right now. The pistols, then the 1911 and the Magnum are both gone, therefore people are using the 3-round burst one, whatever that is called. Sniper rifles, not allowed in hardpoint or control, only one allowed in search and destroy. So this is kind of how it's going, and we'll talk about in a couple of minutes here, the fact that the pros have certainly, well, there's certainly some disagreements over whether, well, this should exactly be the case or not. Clayster, for example, for a number of years, I believe it was the second video I ever made of this format on this channel, was talking about Clayster's idea for Black Ops 4, that we just, well, everything is allowed, right? Nothing gets GA'd. I still don't think that's the best idea, but maybe there's a better middle ground to be had than, like, everything getting GA'd, as we kind of see right now, because I think it's, well, certainly frustrating a lot of the community. In terms of optics, the thermals are gone, the Task Force barrel is gone, all the body attachments of the lasers and stuff like that are restricted. Muzzle, the KGB eliminator and the SOCOM eliminator also banned. I believe for reasons it kind of makes it almost like a suppressor. You don't appear on the minimap the same way with these muzzle attachments, so they are gone. So then you've got the wildcards. Perk greed is restricted. Gunfighter, I believe this should be not allowed. Lawbreaker is allowed, but you can't use the overkill attachment on it. Gearhead also banned in terms of the perks. In terms of items, the Molotov is gone. No smoke grenades allowed in hardpoint or control. 2 smoke grenades limited to insertion destroy. Field upgrade, the jammer is gone. 3 trophy systems in all game modes are only allowed. The score streaks are being tested at certain score levels. Cartel is effectively GA'd as a map. Auto sprint must be disabled. Crossroads, of course, has also been a question mark. We've talked about the last couple of days. And well, the North American amateurs, they're only allowing 1 smoke insertion destroy. All barrels that increase damage are restricted. And then the European amateur side, the AK-47 and score streaks are all still gone. So varies a lot. You might wonder, like, why are the pros and the amateurs GAs very different? The argument is, and I think it's probably a fair one, that the amateurs have their first Challengers Cup much earlier than the Pro League starts. We imagine there might be some sort of pre-season event going on late January sometime for the Pro League, but the Challengers Cups resume in early January. So it's kind of understandable why a lot of the amateur players want to, well, have their own gentleman's agreement set before we actually go into the Pro League, and then hopefully, well, I imagine things would combine after that. But I can kind of see why they're keen to do their own thing, but at the same time, it is very different and diversified across the regions. And well, do you think that the 1911 is fair to be GA'd in its current state? And also, as Classic says a couple of days ago, the KSP, this new, well, it's not actually new, but it's a 3-round burst SMG in the game that recently got buffed in the Season 1 update. As he says, look, best gun in the game, you better get that stuff GA just like the Rampart. Already done, brother. So yeah, the KSP seems like it's also gone, even though it wasn't mentioned quite there in that article. And this is what Clayster has to say, because Clay's always had this opinion of, look, the chaos around GAs is pleasing. When are we going to play the game out of the box like it is intended? And he's been saying stuff like this for years. As I said, I covered it on the channel a couple of years ago, and it's Jacob says, the coach now of Los Angeles Thieves, you have got to be trolling, right? I've had this opinion forever. You know, I just want to run around with LMGs, TAC rifles, and UAVs. And well, I'm not exactly sure this would be the best way to go, but maybe there's more of a middle ground that we could have here in the Call of Duty space, rather than it just being like, well, everything gets GA'd or nothing gets GA'd. Well, maybe there's a better way to organize it, but you know, we'll have to see how things go, because in just a couple of seconds here, we're going to look at what Tony Flame and the track developers had to say on the matter, and it's pretty interesting to see that kind of well, discussion going on behind the scenes. As Ake says, probably when it's designed competitively out of the box, so just never, it's never going to happen that we're never going to have GAs. And as Jacob says, look, out of the box COD would mean care packages in the game. That'd be pretty hilarious. Right? As JP Crow says, re-rolling a care package to a gunship would be a highlight reel plays. Yeah, you call it a care package, you get engineer on or whatever exactly allows you to re-roll it, you get your gunship out, and then you're winning the game. That would be how Clayster would love to see the game be played. But yeah, it would be pretty entertaining. And as Bryce Tacular says, a highlight reel play that would have me playing a different game. So GAs are necessary, I suppose, to a degree. Competitive rule sets are necessary to a degree. But this year, I think a lot of people are saying it's maybe gone too far, and well, pretty frustrated with the result. I saw this that Chrome pointed out as well. This is way back in the Black Ops 3 days when that game first kicked off. People talking about what should be GA'd from Call of Duty Black Ops 3. So certainly back in the past, we've had GAs to a quite significant extent. This was ahead of the Totino's Invitational, the LMGs, the Akimbo pistols, some of these specialists and stuff like this. But this year, as we just looked at, the GA list is very, very extensive. And as Salvation's Elite says, one of the problems with this, of course, is that the first CDL rule set was released on November the 23rd, nearly a month ago. There hasn't been any update to the official rules, despite all these GAs coming into the game. And of course, well, the map set changing and this type of stuff, what the pros actually want to play on behind the scenes. The CDL needs to step in and make the majority of these things part of the official rule set, so they can be implemented into the CDL rules in the game itself. Because you could certainly argue this is ruining tournaments and GBs, the fact that people can consistently break these GAs in certain situations. You know, the CDL needs to come in and ban thermals, all this type of stuff. And well, I imagine the CDL are working on this, because that's what we're going to look in just a second here. Tony Flame and the guys seem to be working very closely with the professional players to make sure all these GAs do make sense. But as EasyMax says, pretty interesting stuff. The best guns per range. We talked a few days ago about what the meta might look like in light, of course, of these gentlemen's agreements potentially coming into play on the attachments and stuff like that. But as he says, look, the 74U is best right up close, then the MP5, then the 47, then the XM4, then the Krig, then the AK-47 once again. So, you know, in theory, you could argue right here that honestly, like a 4-gun, 3-gun meta is certainly possible this year. And hopefully these GAs will get to the point where that could be viable. And maybe that means getting rid of the AK, maybe it doesn't. But as you can see, the AK is very strong statistically up to that 37-meter range, which, well, is where most of the gunfights are probably going to be happening in this title. And as well, Clayster says, go read this. So Tony Flame comes out on the Reddit and does this honestly fantastic, well, fantastically transparent post. You can certainly argue, okay, like, you know, let's go Tony, nicely done, but where's the league play, right? But well, this is what he has to say. I see a lot of chatter on here about the GAs going overboard recently. There's a pretty big misconception about what all this means. I care about this community deeply and would like to help you all understand what is going on a little bit better, even if I cannot tell you everything just yet. So Tony certainly does care about the competitive community. I met him at CDL Anaheim, or CWL Anaheim, in 2019. Definitely a sound guy. We've been working with the pro players closer than ever this year, which is also what I've heard behind the scenes. There's a lot of discussion going on between the pros and the developers. We're still finalizing rule sets for the official CDL season kicking off next year, so Salvation's Elite's request may be coming true relatively soon. Because of the massive amount of content being offered in Creator Class and Gunsmith in particular, this takes some time and playtesting to get the right competitive gameplay in place. I have to thank the players for taking this on with their critical and thoughtful approach, but also in keeping confidence in the discussions that we have had. What the pro players are doing by shifting the GA rules is experimenting and helping determine what the rule set should and will be for the CDL season. Because the pro players have actively engaged in streaming and sharing their time and gameplay with you, everyone here gets to see it happening live, but it doesn't have all the context. That can cause some overreactions to what is actually a very normal and healthy iteration of the GA, saying that naturally this isn't going too far at all. We're just iterating, we're just testing things out to see what should be in the GA and see what shouldn't. Kind of what Clayster was saying a couple of days ago with the Task Force barrel being tested out of the game, which it definitely seems like, though, when things get tested to be out of the game, they always tend to lean on the side of it actually ends up getting banned. We're looking at some new ways to solidify the officially sanctioned rule set for the CDL, which we'll talk more about in the new year, and working closely with players and their insight on what those rules will look like. Expect what you have seen to continue. New experimentation, new rule sets, playtesting and updating again. We're working together to find the best set of rules, including the right competitive content for the right modes, and I cannot tell you how difficult that is to do with hundreds of thousands of you watching and speculating all along. Again, kudos and thank you to the pro players for walking that tightrope balance, etc, etc. We're working to deliver the goal of an incredible competitive COD viewing experience for you all next year. Thank you for your patience. So really cool to see this level of transparency, to be honest, which is certainly not something we tend to get from developers. You can certainly look at this and say, okay, maybe Tony isn't right on a couple of points, and maybe I would have done things a little bit differently, and you know, are they really iterating? Are they not just getting rid of things they don't like? You can argue a couple of points here and ask where the league players, but certainly we don't get this kind of transparency from any other developer, and I thought it was cool to see this as well. That's someone posted here on the Reddit. Modern Warfare dev suggests Esports took the fan out of Call of Duty, which you guys will remember from last year, and now Tony Flame, the lead game designer over at Trek, is posting some pretty insightful discussion here on the Reddit. So I thought it was certainly cool to see. We'll have to see how GA's change going forwards, but certainly the question is still there, regardless of what the pros are doing, regardless of the reasons behind it, if they're iterating to try and see what works best in the CDL rule set. The question is still there: is this best for the fans? Is this best to watch? And as this question comes out a couple of days ago, in your opinion, do GAs improve or negatively impact the viewing experience? In my opinion, GAs are certainly necessary to some degree. Some things that are in the rule set just need to be gone, but the fact that it's gone just this far this year, you can argue, it's one step to the point where, you know, fans are kind of confused why their favourite weapons and stuff aren't being used in the game. But on the other side of it, I'm certainly happy that we don't have 4 smokes every hardpoint, because that would be, absolutely awful to watch if there was 8 smokes on the map, both teams using 4, right? So these kind of things are where GA certainly do have their place in the game, but, you know, maybe they're going a little bit too far. And the 1911 may be another example of that, even though it is also very strong. So there's obviously always 2 sides to the coin on this one, but intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really helps out the YouTube algorithm know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.